check out to all the reporters or anchors who have to go and make packages. So if you have to go and make a package, you'll usually get this stuff. Promos, there's a little bit more wiggle room. Like you might be able to use like shoulder mounts or lights or whatever, but that'll be on a case by case basis. But this will give you a general idea of like things you use. Cool. So let's go ahead and just open up our tripods, people. These are our small tripods. They're a little funky. Not really. They're just lighter and easier to use, kind of. And they have little clasps at the bottom that keep the legs together. You guys will undo those, and then you can extend all the top like locks and extend it one single layer, and we'll have them stand up.
This is going to be these bad boys right here.
So the rod in the middle, it's got a little like thing you can twist at the bottom. If you twist it, it'll allow the tripod head to be loose, and you can maneuver it, so it becomes more level. There's a little level in the center of the tripod head. It's a little green bubble that you want the bubble to get in the middle of the circle. But make sure your legs are fully extended, out and then down, and make sure they're locked and not sliding out. So there's also the tripod arm, which you can unscrew to loosen, and then you can move which way you want, and sometimes they'll block your legs. So there you go. Sorry. Cool. But you can kind of put that wherever it's comfortable, because you know, if you're a taller person, you might want it higher. If you're a shorter person, you kind of want it lower. But otherwise, it looks pretty good. Whoa! Go for extra height. That's awesome. That's cool. Does everyone know where the level is?
Maybe.
This guy. Well, yes, the level's up here, but to actually change the looseness of the tripod head, just unscrew this guy. Some of them are a little older, so they're going to be a little funky. But I'm going to do a quick test to see if all of your tripod heads are level.
And then you're going to use this green little bubble that's like right here, and then put the bubble in like the center of it.
Green little bubble.
Yes. And then you can move this around, so it's kind of like a head, like a bobblehead. If you unscrew it, it'll be, well,
No.
that one just isn't moving. Okay, then it won't move.
This one's good. This one's
Moving.
So where's
Oh, okay.
It'll look like this. Here. Oh, I'm sorry. So once you loosen it, other way, lefty loosey. It's a lot easier to maneuver by holding the head on top and then going from there. So like, and then you can retighten it.
okay.
Here, go ahead and try.
You can like unscrew it.
Oh, checking. Level. Level. I'll give you some time. Level. Oh my God, what did you do that? Give me just a second. You're good.
Yeah.
Level. Awesome. Cool. Now that your tripods are level, you want your arm to be facing towards the back of the, like where the plate fits in. It's like this. We'll go the opposite way, and it loosens with the little guys. Right. Looks good. Looks good. Very good. Cool. I think that one is backwards. Yes. Perfect. Cool. So yeah, once you have your tripod set up, there's a couple of like other little doodads on the guy. Like on the left, there's a little like dial that if you loosen, you can move it up and down. It's called the tilt lock. That one's just a little funky. If you tighten it all the way, it'll prevent you from actually being able to tilt it. So if you're going left or right, you don't want to also see movement up and down, so you can lock that guy, and that way you're not going all over the place. On the right side, doesn't actually move. No, this is a different tripod. On the bottom, in the center, is the pan lock. So if you twist it all the way, hopefully prevent you from looking left and right. But if you loosen it, these are again like older tripods, so they might not be fully functioning. But as long as they sit on the ground level, you should be good to go. A lot of the times when you're shooting things, you don't want it too low and you don't want it too high. So if you're shooting a subject, like if you're doing an interview, kind of do generally chest height or wherever you're going to shoot them from. Don't look up at them, don't look down at them. That's something really stylistic you're going for a promo. Mostly for like news and stuff, you want it generally pretty boxed in. So everybody feel good about setting up the tripod? Because it looks great. All right, let's go ahead and pull out the cameras though. So like I said, these are some of our older equipment. And as volunteers, this is all a volunteer-run station. We kind of just check this stuff out for free. So please be careful with it. Respect our gear. And if you return it and there's an issue, just say. But don't hide if something breaks, because we will know, and we might prevent you guys from actually checking out equipment, because that has happened where someone just turns in like a broken camera and then doesn't tell us, and we're like, no, nothing wrong happened. They like fully broke a $5,000 camera. It was crazy. But just treat it with respect. And then to fit the camera onto the tripod, you have to loosen this little guy on the right and flick him down, which will allow you to actually put it in. It'll face the way forward, so you guys, it'll come in from the back and go forward. Yeah, you kind of have to like angle it in. So this will be face the other way.
Oh.
So basically you have your whole right this way. Ooh.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah. You have to make sure this is flicked down.
Oh, okay.
Come from the back and the back. Make sure that this is loose. You kind of have to like pop it in and angle it a bit. It's kind of finicky. Sometimes the dial is, all the way screwed in so it's stable. And make sure it's not like wiggling around on the tripod head.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Again,
It's the tripods, yeah. They're like, you're gonna be like, what? It's kind of janky, but it's cute.
I'm like, as long as I'm
You get to work with it for free.
Perfect. And just come in. Cool. So some of you guys have like lens caps in your cameras. We don't have lens caps for all of them, so just there's a reason why you start shooting and you're like, I can't see anything. It's probably because there's a lens cap on it. It's pretty much just those two, I think. So if you want to go ahead and take those lens caps off, they're just on the front of their edge. Cool. Now if you look in your bag, there's batteries. Only one kind of batteries fits in these cameras. So if we get the wrong batteries, oh no! So whenever you're checking out equipment, make sure you get the battery that looks like this. You can also press a button on it to actually check how much battery life there is. But if you take the battery and you're looking at the one with all the labels, if you're looking at all the labels on it, make sure it's reading left to right if you're looking at it to the right. And you're going to stick it to the back of the slot, all the way at the top. Stick to the back and then click it down, if that makes sense. And there's a battery release on the top right of where the battery will go. So if you get stuck, it might be caught or something. But
that's when is your battery level?
Yeah.
You can see right there.
The battery release is usually just for when it's locked in. So try putting it all the way at the top.
Here.
Where it, so all the way at the top, all the way to the back, and down.
Oh. I guess that was just not doing it right.
It was fun to figure out. So let's see if you can figure out. So basically on the top part where the handle is, in the left front.
I think it's on the other side.
POV
Like on
box.
this little thing right here.
I draw the same shit.
Pull? Mm.
Cool. And you twist it up, make sure it's pulled out all the way.
Twist it up. This is.
Pull it out just a little bit more. There we go, and then twist it. Yay!
Everybody have their cameras on? Oh, cool. That's good. So sometimes it'll pop up and you'll be in like media mode. So media mode is where you can look at all the things you've already shot. On the back of the camera, on the left of the battery, there's a little like lever thing that you can slide and it'll switch between recording and media. It might be on media when you open the camera, but you won't be able to actually shoot anything. So click it up, it'll switch to the actual like camera mode where you can actually shoot things. Does everyone see basically what their camera's seeing right now?
Yeah.
I promise I'm not a
Oh.
photo child.
Oh yeah.
So,
Right there, which is one. So,
it's a weird button. Don't worry about
Okay.
it. Yeah. So it just clicks down. Yeah.
where's the button?
Right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it just clicks up. Cool.
Oh.
All right. So everybody's got their cameras on. They can see what their camera's seeing.
Yes.
All right. So, how many of you guys have used the camera before? It's fine if you haven't. It's fine if you haven't. So 3 things to know. 3 the basic things: focus, zoom, and iris. Focus is like making sure everything is clearly visible. It's if things are in focus, it means that you can see it clearly. If it's out of focus, it'll be kind of fuzzy. The focus ring is at the front of the camera. That's how you can change the focus. It's a big ring, I think. Unless it's zoom. Focus? Cool.
It's not zooming in, yeah.
Looks like it. Awesome. So, you know, one of the things to do when you set up is make sure it's in focus first before you mess with anything. Sometimes you'll have to move things around or move your camera back or forward, but otherwise keep looking, keep messing with things until it's not fuzzy. So everybody pick a point of where their camera's kind of pointing at. Either pick another person and make sure they're in focus. Do a quick check. How do you feel?
Now you good.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks great. Cool. Feel good? Feel good? I trust you guys. All right. There's also a focus assist button, so you can actually see what's in focus and what's not in focus. So if you look on the left side of the camera, there's going to be a little button that says focus assist. It'll put everything in focus in like a little red border. These cameras have a pretty wide range of focus or depth of field, so you never have to really finagle things too much, but just make sure it doesn't look super fuzzy. Cool. The second ring on the front of the camera, or can everybody find focus assist? Cool. There's another ring behind the focus, that is the zoom. Cool. I probably won't have to explain zoom to anybody, but you know.
What's the difference between, like, I can zoom
Yes.
up here?
You got ahead.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, it's the next thing I was going to talk about.
Okay.
So as they pointed out, there's a couple of buttons for zoom. On the right side, where you put like your hand for the handle, there's like a big one. That's mainly just for ease of use. So if you use it and you know you're holding it and hand holding it, you can zoom better. On the top, it's also got one. You're hand holding it and it's like this. The top one is slower than the side one, but also they're a lot smoother looking than just moving the ring. So I would always kind of use the buttons if you're going to zoom. Otherwise, changing the ring just kind of looks silly. Cool. Zoom look good for everybody? Cool. Cool.
The one that's on the top.
Sometimes doesn't work.
Yeah. It's
Yeah. So that's a tricky thing with some of the cameras. It's probably that one and then that one maybe, because that one was also broken. That one's missing a viewfinder. Sometimes the top of the camera, the record button doesn't work and the zoom doesn't work. So always use the right side of the camera to record just in case. Your camera will also show you if you're recording because it'll be a big red thing that says record on your screen. Speaking of screen, there's also a way you can look at your camera. A big viewfinder in the back. You guys don't have one, unfortunately. But you know, if it's like really bright outside and you can't quite see the screen, you can look through the little monitor or look through the little viewfinder. Cool. So that's focus and zoom. Next up, does anyone know what the third ring is for? No, that's fine.
Is it shutter speed?
No. Good guess though. It is
exposure?
iris.
Oh.
Yes. Cool. No, it's great. So basically, in layman's terms, the back ring controls how bright the image is. So turn it up, it'll open the iris more, it'll let in more light, and the lower you turn it down, the less light it takes in, the darker it'll be. You want to not have super bright image, but you also want to have super dark. So make sure you set that up as well as focus, because otherwise all of your videos will be blown out. Yes.
Can you notice like the transition easily, or is
Yes.
it,
Here's a quick thing. Much like focus, which I haven't even talked about the buttons yet, guys. So just you wait. There's 2 buttons on the left. Focus A/M and iris A/M. It'll switch between automatic and manual settings for focus and iris. So you can change your focus to be automatically done by the camera, which is handy, but sometimes you just have to be more specific because it can be kind of untrustworthy. You have someone here for an editing workshop?
Do I?
They're in that chair. And then the iris, same deal, it'll do it automatically. And if you have it on automatic, you won't see any change. It's already doing it for the camera. And try not to mess with it if it's on automatic because it might hurt something in the camera. Or just switch it to manual, which is much more specific, but also more reliable on yourself. Do all of you guys see a little square on your screen with like a bunch of little white lines?
Yeah.
Cool. It's called a histogram. Does everybody know what a histogram is?
Isn't it like the rule of thirds or something?
Close. No, it's not. There's also some lines on there that'll show you thirds of the camera in frame. So general composition rules put people in like the thirds. So like if you're seeing a frame and it's divided into thirds, both horizontally and vertically, and you're talking to someone, you kind of want them to have space where they're showing something off in the other 2/3, or their eyes to be on the top third, just because it like looks better. It's a good rule of thumb. That way you're not just shooting dead center and you're just seeing like their face. Like that doesn't look good. Or they're like right here and you have 3 feet of headroom. Headroom is too much space above. They look silly. Or you're showing like their nose down. You don't want that. So otherwise, just keep an eye out for those thirds. But a histogram is a little square with like the like bar graph kind of looking thing. Histogram is basically like, okay, I'm not a huge camera guy. I barely know what it is. Histogram kind of measures how bright the things are. You want those like white things to be in the middle of the square. So whenever you change the iris, quick, everybody turn it to manual iris, if it's not already. And then mess with the iris and see how the lines change. See how the white changes.
Oh.
So you want them close to being in the middle.
It's not really changing. I don't know if it. Let me see.
Yeah, I don't think mine is changing. The wired ones, the balance like sitting or is it moving a lot? And you'll want to use the wireless ones that are. So that would be the.
So if your iris is on automatic, it'll just say the actual f-stop, which is the way of measuring iris. It'll say like f1.7 or something. If it's on manual, I think it'll just say open, and then you can alter it. And then same thing for automatic focus versus manual focus. It'll say like AF and then like a big number.
Yes.
That means it's on automatic focus. And if you switch to manual, it'll just say, I think it'll just say F. I might be wrong. It might be MF.
It says
Whatever.
MF, yeah.
Cool. So for iris, you can do automatic and manual iris. You can also see basically a focus assist, but for exposure. So like the focus assist button that I showed you guys, right beneath it, I think is zebra. Right, yeah, cool. Zebra, if you turn it on, will show you what's overexposed and what's not. So basically, if you're looking at things that are too bright, it'll show them like with big zebra lines, which is just big like zigzag lines. So if you're looking at something that's too bright and it's got the big lines on it, turn your iris down and the lines will go away. It means you're not overexposed. So you'll hear that a lot. Overexposed means things are basically too bright. And then same deal with focus assist. If it's in red, it's in focus. And you can turn those both things automatic to manual. Does exposure make sense to everybody? Cool. Focus? Cool. Zoom? Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's the easy part. Cool. I feel like I'm forgetting a thing over here. Oh, quick. Everybody hit bars.
Oh, whoa. It's the things.
I don't know why they're there, but you can turn bars off. Another important thing is white balance. So there's a big button that says WB. Well, it's not big. It's the same size as all the other buttons.
Yes.
White balance. You can switch it from automatic white balance to manual white balance. Does everyone know what white balance is?
Yeah, it's like to reflect the color.
Yes, the color temperature. So basically, color temperature is a setting in cameras and for lights that basically tells you what white is, the like number that white should be. So if you've got like a really high color temperature, it's more warm, and if it's really low, it means it's really cold, which is basically a way of saying more like orange toned or more blue toned. So if you're looking at your camera and you're like at a white piece of paper or something, and it's like blue, that's bad. If you're looking at it's orange, that's not great. You want white to be white. So that's what white balance is for. You're balancing your camera to be white. Balancing the whites of the camera. That makes more sense. And then a lot of times, if you guys are like shooting like a package or a promo or something, and you're moving between locations, you might go from a place like this where it's like very just overhead lighting to like outside, and you're shooting someone under a tree. It's gonna be a different lighting setup, which means white is gonna be a different color. So you have to change your white balance again. Same thing for focus. If your focus is not on automatic, you want to change the focus of your subject, because if you move, it's gonna be a different setting on your camera. Does everyone understand how white balance works on these cameras? You can switch between automatic and manual. I always forget how it works.
So my camera's flying, right?
Yeah, a little bit. We gotta get new. Cool. So it'll rotate you through different settings. I would just rotate it to automatic, and if it looks like it's white and not blue or orange, it means you're doing pretty good. Otherwise, you can switch between preset color temperatures, like 4900 and 1200, right? Which the numbers mean less and less, but it's blue, orange, white, if you want a good rule of thumb. So everyone get color, temperature, white balance a little bit. Everything look good. Not too hot, not too cold.
I think I touched something.
See?
Well, I'm trying to like, I accidentally pressed this button. and-
Oh, so user settings. Basically, if you're going between two locations a lot, you can program a bunch of settings for one of the users. So like, let's say you're shooting inside a lot, and your iris is gonna be at this, and your color temperature is gonna be at this. You can change that to like user 1, and then you go outside, and you can do user 2, which will be a different whole slew of settings.
So you can like save settings?
Pretty much, yeah. Which is nice if you're going between two places a lot and you don't want to like manually reset every time. It probably won't come up that much, and it takes some getting used to. I forget how to set it up off the top of my head, but if you guys want to play around with it later, feel free to. But you know, there's different user settings. After that, there's a button that says OIS. That stands for like operational internal stabilization. Basically, it's like a stabilizer for when you're hand holding. Their little hand icon will pop up. It just kind of makes the image less shaky if you're moving it with yourself. I won't come up too much, but it's nice to have on if you're doing a lot of handheld movement for like B-roll or you know moving shots. What else is there on the front of the camera? Cool. Counter and reset, don't worry about. Quick start, don't really worry about. You don't want to quick start your camera. You guys should all be setting up your camera for specific looks because you guys are ntTV volunteers and you guys can handle it. Cool. Everyone understand roughly how like the video aspect of the camera works? Cool. Again, there's these kits which I'm not referencing at all, but we're about to, so just get ready. There's a menu setting on there as well. There's a menu button. Everybody find their menu button. Don't worry about the video just yet. So if you press the menu button, I think it's on the top right of the buttons, it'll pop up a little like menu screen on your thing. It's a touch screen, which is kind of unfortunate, but it's fine. So this is where the sheet comes in, because we want all of our videos to match. Because if a package is recorded in a different setting in another package or the newscast and it goes up on air, it'll look really weird. Does everyone know what like frame rate is?
Yeah.
Roughly. Frame rate is like how many times your camera opens and closes when you're recording video. Like you'll see like 24 frames a second. It's basically taking a picture 24 times per second. But you can also do 60. And it looks different because 60 is going to be a lot more fluid. 60 is what news shoots in because it's, you know, I think off the top of my head, it's either 60 or 30. 60. I'm going to dead fast. It looks a lot more fluid, looks a lot more real. Film usually shoots in like 24. But promos is usually going to shoot in 24 or 60. I would say shoot in 60, and you can always mark it down to 24 in editing. I'm not going to teach much editing. If you guys ever have editing questions, come by, let me know. But the important thing is you got to set those settings. This is where this comes in handy. If you go to the screen and you go to record setup, you get a chance to, I forget what the actual thing says. Record format, and you want it in HA 1080 60i. I don't know the difference between I or P. It's something to do with how it's recorded. But do I just know that's what
Go
you're
ahead
supposed
and
to do.
just go back to menu again. And then record setup.
Once everybody gets that, everybody fine
No,
recording
that's,
format.
oh, it's already in HA 10. Okay, yeah.
Cool. That won't actually format your SD card. Speaking of SD cards, those go in at the back of the camera. Right above the battery, there's a little slot where you put in like A or B, or 1 or 2. You slot 1 or 2. Cool. So, do you guys know what formatting an SD card does?
No.
Formatting an SD card wipes the SD card. So basically an SD card, if you don't know that at all, which is fine, is what you record all of your things onto. So it'll carry all the files.
If you do not format, you run the risk of losing all of your footage. I have lost, I think, 3 full-on sit-down interviews, amazingly filmed, because I did not format. So please format.
On here or on your SD card?
On here.
I agree. So basically, formatting SD card tells your SD card, hey, we're about to shoot things on this camera. Prepare yourself to be shot, prepare yourself to be shot. Prepare to have things put on this SD card. So telling it 1080 60i means, oh, 1080 60i video is about to come in and fill the SD card. Each SD card has like different amounts of speed that it takes in things, a different amount of storage, but if you have an SD card, you look at it and it'll say. So put it in the back, set the record format, and then go back to the main menu and go to Other Function. Other Function will give you a little thing that says Format Card. Click Format Card, it won't do anything. But make sure you do that, otherwise you're not formatting your card. Again, it will wipe everything off your SD card, so don't put a bunch of important pictures in it before you format it. I think that's really all you guys need to know is the main menu settings. Yeah, so once you get out of the menu, because a lot of it is just like preference stuff, if you touch the screen, you can turn on auto shutter speed. Without the menu, if you just touch the screen. Shutter speed is basically also how many times it takes light in for a second. Oh, yeah, I always forget. Just mix it up. But your shutter speed should be double your frame rate. But if it's doing it on automatic, you should be good. Make sure it's on automatic shutter speed. Otherwise, it'll look kind of weird. Cool. Does setting up the SD card make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Cool. All right. Yes.
So you have to format it every time before you record it.
Wait,
Before
so
you-
do you like, before you put the SD card in, you then format it and then put the SD card in, or put the SD card in and then format it?
And so, not every time you record. Every time you're putting in an SD card into the camera.
Oh.
Yeah, you know, every time you press record, it's gonna wipe. Yeah, so you can record like 30 videos on an SD card if you want, however many you can hold. It'll show you if it's too full. Same as it'll show you how much battery you have left. They're not always super accurate, so keep an eye on the top right. Don't format the SD card after every time you press record, otherwise it will delete it. But format an SD card every time you're putting in a new SD card into your camera.
Okay,
So even
only
if-
if it's new.
Even if, sorry, new as in like it's been used for something else in between. If you're only shooting on this camera, every time, you don't have to format it. But I still would, just out of safety, every time it's being taken out and put it back in. Cool. Let's move on to audio. So if you look into your bag, you're gonna have an XLR cord and a mic. Some of you got lucky and you got a handheld mic. Some of you got unlucky and you got a lavalier. So a handheld mic is usually what like a reporter will use for like a stand-up. They'll be standing in front of the camera and they'll go, "I'm blah blah blah. This was blah blah blah." Or a lavalier is usually what you want to use for like interviews. Lavaliers are interesting. They're called lavalier microphones for some reason. Otherwise, they're shortened to lavs. So if you hear lavs, that's what they're talking about. Lavaliers, they clip to your shirt. They hide the cable. I don't want to see any cables on any package or promo. I don't want to see any wires hanging in the front of shirts. So please don't do that. You put it through the shirt and it clips to the collar. You don't want it too close to their mic, their mouth. Because otherwise it'll be too loud. You want it next to their throat because then you'll just hear the deep rumble of their throat, and that's not good. If it's down here, blah blah blah. Good rule of thumb is if like you're wearing like a V-neck shirt, you want it on the lower end of the V-neck. And the lavalier mics, they point up at the sound, so they're little tiny guys, but they're very like they're very narrow in what they capture. So they're pointing up at the sound. The handheld mics are like omnidirectional, so they kind of just capture whatever. That's why you kind of have to put it in front of, or not in front of your mouth, but kind of lower, and just make sure it's kind of in the general area of where you're talking about. A lot more catch-all. Lavalier mics, make sure they're pointed up, they're not away, they're not rubbing against chains or jewelry or anything, and they're not in a pocket of clothing. Miking people up is a practiced art. Asking someone to mic themselves if they never mic themselves is always kind of awkward. So always ask if they're comfortable, or first ask if they've ever done it before. A lot of times for the people y'all will be like interviewing, they're doing, probably not. Maybe, who knows? But ask if they're comfortable with you helping them, but I would just have them loop it through their shirt and you could probably help them affix it to their collar or where it might go. Some of these don't have clips because they're just older mics, but I don't know who else had the lavalier. Cool. No clip. No clip. Unfortunate. Cool. The other part of it is the XLR cable. The XLR cable, which you guys are fine to do that. XLR cable transmit sound through one end to the other end. And, you know, basically that means transmitting sound from your mic to your camera. So one end plugs into the mic, one end plugs into the camera. The audio ports in the camera, as some of you guys see, are at the front right, and on the little handle. There'll be a little like 3 pegs. Make sure to match the pegs into the hole, and don't just force it in because you might bend the pegs. And that sucks. It's really annoying. So yeah, you're looking at the camera. They plug in over here. Go ahead and plug them all into input 1, not input 2.
So this one.
Oh. This is where it keeps turning. Oh, okay.
Do any of you guys know how to wrap XLR cable? Or wrap cable at all?
I think so.
Cool. We're gonna prove it. Don't you worry. Everybody's gonna learn. Cool. Does everybody have their mics plugged in?
Yes.
Cool. On the left side of the camera, in the back, there's a little panel that you can flip open. Cool. That's basically where. No, you're good. Everybody find it? Cool. That's basically where you can change your audio settings. The way it works is that you have 2 inputs of audio in your camera, but you also have 2 channels. Channels are like the output. So if you're putting audio in, it'll put it out in the output. The crazy thing about it is that there's actually 3 inputs. The other one is this front mic. It's built into the camera. Don't use it. It's called the internal microphone. You're going to want to change the settings, and I'll show you in a second. So it's not ever. If you want to go ahead and like take it off the tripod, feel free. But basically, the 2 channels are like left and right. I always mix up which one is which, but channel 1 is like your left ear, and channel 2 is your right ear. It might be the other way around, but that's fine for now. So you'll see on the little left side of that thing, you can switch for channel 1 the different inputs. So you'll have the option of internal, which is just like input 1 and input 2. Channel 2 just has 1 choice for input, which I think is input 2. Yes? Cool. So that's why we plug into input 1, just because you can put in channel 1. Channel 1 is usually easier to edit with. Now here's the thing. If you only have audio recorded on 1 channel, what are you to do when you get into editing and you go, shoot, I have to, it sounds really weird, I'm only getting sound in 1. You can double the tracks. So if you, this will be like a YouTube video you guys can look up later. Basically, look up how, and whatever editing software you use, please use Premiere, but whatever you want to use. If you put a track in, you can duplicate it and change the left channel to be the right channel as well. So now the sound is duplicated into both ears. And that way, like, one is not quieter than the other, and one's not like a shitty microphone. Also, next to the inputs is a little dial. You'll see it's like a little dial you can push with your thumb. That's the gain. Gain is kind of like volume, but you're controlling how much sound is entered in. You know? Cool. So this will plug in. If you look at the top like this, Cool. So make sure that channel 1 says input 1 on it, and that your dial is right in the middle, if you can. Now, if you're looking at your display, you'll be seeing, hopefully, audio like output on the bottom. There's a little thing that's channel 1 and channel 2. If you tap your mic or speak into it or test it at all, you'll see a little movement there across the bar. Is everybody seeing movement across the bar?
Yes. Channel 2 is coming from this
which
mic,
is
right?
fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Because if you duplicate your channels, you can replace channel 2's internal, sound,
Okay.
the shitty microphone, with the good sounding one, which is helpful for editing in case you record it wrong. Cool. Everybody's getting levels?
Yes, but only from 1.
Yes, which is fine. Cool. You want those levels to kind of appear halfway to 3/4 of the way through the whole bar. You can change that by changing the gain, which is that dial. If it's all the way to the right, it means it's very sensitive and it's taking a lot of sound, which probably means it's too loud. If it's all the way to the left, it probably means you're not getting very much sound at all. So change your gain and start talking into your mic till it comes about halfway to 3/4 of the way through the bar on the display.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes.
On channel 2, it's supposed to be
Yeah, but since you guys have nothing input to, it won't actually show any sound when you click it to the internal mic. You'll get some sound from the internal microphone, which is helpful. Cool. Everybody got good sound?
Yes.
Go ahead, test it for me.
Test, 1, 2. Okay, so how high do you want me to get it?
Yeah, about there. It does seem like it would be. Keep talking.
Talk. Test,
Yes. So the end of that bar is actually the it's actually the edge of how loud you want it. You want it kind of in between where that third is.
Okay.
Cool. All right. There's a headphone jack on the right side of the back of the camera. It's a little flap that you plug in the headphone jack into, headphone cord into. You guys can also check out headphones from us.
So I have a question. If we're filming like a package, like am I just like following around? Like if I'm doing like a flower shop, right? Am I just following the guy around as he's talking about what?
Before you take the batteries on your cameras, make sure they're turned off. So go ahead and turn them off and then shut the monitor and unplug all your audio stuff and cables. We're going to teach you guys how to rep XLR, or cables in general. It's a very useful skill. That's fine, because they're going to get, it's bad, but don't worry about it. I'll teach you in a second. Don't worry. You can put that back in the box, so we'll be using it later.
So then I lift this.
Make sure the left side is unscrewed, and then you can flick the tripod head. Yeah, it's sounds
See
fine.
them right there.
I wanted to see. I didn't see anything out of my viewfinder, but I didn't know if that was because.
Oh, yes. This. There's a switch. I forgot to mention that. On the back of your viewfinder, if you have one, there's a little switch on the bottom. It'll actually like open it or close it.
Yeah, I was looking. I was like, because I have the glasses, but I can't see it.
Make sure you take your batteries out, by the way, as well. Again, the battery release is on the back, top right, I think, of the battery. It's a tiny it's a tiny button. And you have to press that while taking out the battery. You can do it one-handed. It's just tricky. Give me so much trouble. Sometimes they'll yell at me for not doing it. Look at that. Awesome. Cool. And then make sure that your tripods are all straight and they're locked back in. And make sure you loosen your tripod arm. That way when it's going back in the bag, it's flush with the rest of the tripod and kind of fold it in. Cool. And put it feet first down in the bag. But you guys put this down. Cool.
I would just. And then just leave it loose?
Yep.
Oh, it's this bag. I was about to say.
And you guys can put your mics in your bag as well, but take the cables out. We're going to be playing with the cable. Anytime you check out equipment for a show, you get 3 days. So if you checked it out on a Friday, you bring it back Monday. You check it out on Monday, you have to bring it back Wednesday before we close at 9 Monday through Thursday or 5 on Friday.
Up here.
Yes, you turn it up here. There's one other thing about that. Yeah, so give yourself extra time to play with it. Make sure you give yourself enough time to shoot whatever you're shooting. You get 3 days. Let us know if something wrong happens. Don't just hide it. Try not to break anything. Don't do anything stupid with these. We only have so many. That's why some of you guys have to double up. Otherwise, so who's wrapped cable before? Okay. Me too. I want you to come here.
Oh, okay, that's right.
But Avery, you're gonna have to watch out. Can you take this? Come stand over here. Well, here. They're gonna move you out of the way. They're gonna chuck cable across the room.
Wrap it back up.
Go ahead, down the hallway.
This way?
Yeah. So basically, there's a way to. Oh, I mean, you did get it. Yeah. So basically, there's a way of wrapping cable. So when you wrap it, it doesn't get tangled up when you throw it out. Because broadcast, if you're like working with things that are like 100 feet long, you want to chuck them out and then just start plugging them in. But also, it helps to keep the cord, not messed up and well maintained. Otherwise, they'll twist and they'll bend because they are like metal and it'll be bad for the cord and it'll sound bad. If you want to go ahead and check it out, you'll see. Check the pile out first. Yeah. It does look a bit tangled, so good luck. That's all right. That's all right. Basically, everybody else who doesn't have an XLR cable, you get one. You get one. Who else? You get one. Cool. Ignore what they're doing. I want to test to see if they can do it while I teach you
start
guys.
setting up for the weather.
Good luck, guys. If you can do it perfectly, you get to go.
Oh, sick. And if I don't, am I held hostage here until I do it?
Yes.
Sick.
But otherwise, we'll have you guys sign up. So, is everybody right-handed? It's fine, you know? Right-handed, right-handed, right-handed? Okay, cool. I'll do it this way and try to follow along. It's easier if you guys stand as well. Unfortunately, well, you could probably do it sitting down, but it's a lot easier to show. So, if you're holding the XLR cable, go ahead and unspool it as much as you can and try to get it untangled. That will take a second. Again, these are like older cables and they get used by like hundreds of people every semester, so they're going to be a little funky and like they're going to have some kinks, some knots or whatever sometimes they get returned. But if everybody knows how to wrap XLR, then they'll be fine and we'll never, yeah, you're good to go. Awesome.
Do I need to sign up?
Yeah, everybody untangle these while I got the pen. You want to sign out on just that scratch piece of paper?
Right.
Yeah, I keep forgetting to grab a piece of paper for you. Cool. How do y'all feel? Y'all ready? Looks like you're doing good. Cool. So if you go ahead and completely unspool it, let the rest hang at your feet. Oh, hey, I respect the hustle. But if you're holding out in what would be your non-dominant hand, have the XLR end pointing out. You're good. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
You're going to make, well, this is called the over-under method. There's a reason it's called that. It's going to start by going over, and you're going to make a loop. Bring it around to the front of the cord. One thing to know is that since these are so funky, sometimes you'll have to like twist with your finger. So if you twist, you'll kind of feel the way that the cord moves. So go ahead and practice that for a bit, just so you guys can see how it moves. Cool. And you want to lay the first like ring over the top of your hand. So basically, if you're holding it out, these are in the same spot. Looks good, looks good, looks good, good, cool. Perfect, perfect. Okay, now don't get ahead of yourselves, because it starts with one, over. Right, now this is where it gets tricky. This is where it gets really hard. Yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool. Also, I texted you. Will you just look later?
I will. Awesome. Cool. So if you're holding this pile of cable out at your feet, and the cable is hanging down, put your dominant hand down parallel to the cable. Then you're going to reach across it, right? You're going to grab it from that side, and you're going to bring it up so it's perpendicular to you, and you're going to make a ring before it even comes to your hand. So if it's out, you're going to twist it in. So now you're basically holding two loops. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And you can just make those meet. So basically, if you're looking at it, down, across, up, and over. We'll probably do some one-on-ones just because this is the nature of it. But yeah, down, across, up, and over. And now you have an over and an under. Ooh. That's okay. Show me real fast. Down, across.